Let's bring in Salih Hudayar, International Political Affairs Officer for the Eastern Turkistan National Awakening Movement. Great to have you here in Crossroads. First, if you can explain how many people in China belong to this Muslim minority and what do Chinese authorities have against them?
Yes, thank you for having me. Firstly, I'd like to correct that the Uyghurs are not Chinese Muslims. They are ethnically Turkic-speaking people. They're ethnically Turkic people that have inhabited this region for thousands of years. So there's this misconception that they are, quote, Chinese Muslims because they happen to be Muslim. As far as how many people, Chinese government statistics from 2015 shows that there's 11.5 million Uyghurs, and the total Turkic population of East Turkestan is 13.6 million. However, Uyghurs ourselves, we state that realistically, giving historical data, that we are about 30 to 35 million, with about 30 million Uyghurs and then 5 million Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Uzbeks, and Tatars. What China has against us is the fact that this region is an occupied state. China invaded East Turkestan in October of 1949, and then officially occupied us in December of 1949. So since then, the Uyghurs and the other Turkic peoples of East Turkestan have been resistant to China's colonization policies and forced assimilation policies. And now China, given that it's the largest global economic power, is using its economic influence to buy international silence to carry out what is essentially a 21st century Holocaust or a genocide in East Turkestan.
So has the resistance by the Uyghurs, has it ever been violent or particularly violent?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the last armed uprising that happened in East Turkestan was in 1990. It took place in the south of East Turkestan, but it was brutally crushed. And since then, there have been demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations, which have been brutally suppressed by the Chinese government. But there hasn't been any armed attacks. In fact, China, it says any protest, any demonstration that happens in the region, they just claim it as a terrorist attack with little evidence.
Mm-hmm. The Chinese government, they say that these re-education camps or centers that we showed in the piece before we started talking to you, they are vocational training centers that provide language and re-education for extremists. What do we really know about what's happening inside these centers?
So, according to testimonies given by former detainees who happen to be citizens of Kazakhstan or Kyrgyzstan, or in the case of one individual, Egypt, these people are being forced to denounce their ethnic, religious identity. They're being forcefully medicated. Women are being raped. In some cases, and there's organ harvesting. And then the worst part is people are dying in these camps. And I personally have a relative who recently passed away due to torture in one of these camps. And they wouldn't even return the body to our family. Instead, the government is disposing the body in so-called burial management facilities, which is a crematory facility. They're cremating the bodies.
What should the United States be doing in terms of its relationship with China over this, in your estimation?
Well, the United States, President Trump recently signed the Elie Wiesel Genocide Prevention Act. He should label what's going on in East Turkestan and officially recognize it as a genocide, pressure the UN to uphold the Genocide Convention, and then to take it out of the realm of so-called China's internal affairs. The United States should be the first country to recognize East Turkestan as an occupied territory like they recognize Tibet.
Salih Hudayar, who is the International Political Affairs Officer for the Eastern Turkestan National Awakening. Salih, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.